We're at 10 o'clock, right?
So here's I think you will do a little introduction, and then we have a new song that I will put up that Julia is going to lead us in.
Let's start with music, and then we'll go into the class.
Let me share that text. Hold on.
And everybody should mute yourself if you're not already muted.
All right.
Karen Klein, you need to mute yourself.
All right. Here we go.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
This is Un Cabrito, which is Chad Gadya, a very popular Passover melody in Spanish. And so something that you might hear at a Sephardic Seder. And I noticed after I sent it that it is missing some accent marks, but it is indeed Spanish. So please feel free, as you're muted, to sing along with me. I'll go through the first couple of verses at the beginning, and then we'll do the last ones at the end. Un cabrito y un cabrito, ahí va que compró mi papá por 2 chavicos. Un cabrito y un cabrito, ahí va que compró mi papá por 2 chavicos. Y vino el perro que mordió al cabrito que compró mi papá por 2 chavicos. Y vino la vara que pegó al perro que mordió al cabrito que compró mi papá por 2 chavicos. Ahí va que compró mi papá por 2 chavicos. Un cabrito y un cabrito, ahí va que compró mi papá por 2 chavicos.
Wow, that is fabulous. I've never heard that before. Thank you so much, Julia. What a wonderful, that's beautiful. So welcome everybody. Good morning. It's seriously raining here in Inwood in New York City. My dogs were very mad about having to go outside, but until they learn to use the bathroom inside, they have to do it outside. And wow, it is nasty out here. I don't know if everybody who's not in New York City is experiencing this, but here in New York City, it is pouring. So this morning,
your flowers.
This morning, which is we are now in the 5th day of Passover. Tonight we start the 6th day. So it means Tuesday night is the 7th day, which is Yontiv, which means the last 2 days of Passover, the 7th and 8th days, are more intensively Yontiv, or a festival day, than the middle days. So we will not be having class on Wednesday and Thursday of this week. And next week we start Monday, and we will be back at our regular Monday through Thursday until Shavuot. And I want to remind folks that Thursday morning, we will be having a service for the 8th day of Passover, which will include Yizkor. And for those who joined us on Shabbat, which was our first time trying to do a morning service, I think we were pretty successful. We had Torah reading, we had drashot by the 3 adult B'nai Mitzvah, which were all 3 moving and deep and profound. And so that was a new Shechianu movement that we were able to break through to doing Shabbat morning services. And so therefore, we're confident we'll be able to do Yontiv morning services on Thursday. And we will also then be having Shabbat morning services. So everybody's welcome to join those. And another quick announcement for tonight, for those who are members of CBST, and you can always become a member if you're not, every Monday night through this period of quarantine or isolation, we're going to be having a town hall on Monday evenings. Tonight will be at 7 o'clock till 8:15. Where we'll be sharing news and talking about things that are not necessarily service related or class related, but dealing with life during the quarantine. We did one a week and a half ago where we talked about legal and medical issues. And tonight we're going to be talking about how CBST institutionally is responding. Yolanda's going to give a report about how the office is responding. Greg's going to give a report about the board and finances, and I'll talk a little bit as well. So save Wednesday evenings. Don't go out Don't go to the movies or the theater. On Monday nights, we're going to be doing it's only for members. And if you're a member, you should have gotten an email with the registration information. And then later this afternoon, we'll be sending out the link and password to get in. So let's begin. And first of all, as we do every morning, think of who you want to dedicate this morning's study to. And in the chat, put the name of somebody whose memory you want to remember or who you're studying in honor of, and that the energy of this study will go to honor their souls today. Today, since we are finishing Psalm 2, we would like to look at some of those personally written Psalms 1 and 2. We looked at 3, I think, Psalm 1, but some of you have written some more Psalm 1 personal reflections. So we're going to try and see if Harold will be able to show on the screen. And if the writer, the author of your Psalm can read it out loud for all of us, and we could look at these personal versions of Psalm 1 and 2 as we finish this section. So I have to say, it's been so moving to read these that you've been posting onto Facebook, but we're going to read them out loud and look at all the different ways Psalm 1 or Psalm 2 has inspired members of our class. Harold, we can't hear you.
Right. So first of all, my apologies. I did not set a firm deadline for submissions, and so I got some things late that I was not able to include yet. There's a compendium that I emailed everybody. If you want to check your email and print it out, that's one way to do it. We will be sharing it on the screen. My apologies for people for whom we do not get to today.
We'll do it another day, either tomorrow or another. Oh, sorry, Harold. I didn't mean to speak over you. We will get to everybody's, even if we don't finish it all today. See, what's the pleasure of having time together? So let's look at Psalm 1. Who is this? Stephen David Dunn.
Were you there? Stephen Dime. Let's see.
Hi there. I have to unmute myself.
Yes, you're good now. We hear you.
Hi. Thank you, Harold. Thank you, Rabbi Kleinbaum. I've really been enjoying this workshop, and it inspired me to start writing this kind of poetry that I haven't written for 40 years. So it's a wonderful breakthrough, and it's very exciting for me to be able to share this with you. So here we go. Psalm 1, inspired by Psalm 1, written by Stephen David Deem. In the in-between time, the contented one sits at the well. She is one of the ones who will not walk with the arrogant, who will not stand with the liars, and she will not sit down with the lovers of hate. The tree roots, the streams of water and the streams of light unite in the in-between time, and the rainbow fruits. The arrogant, the deniers of truth, and the lovers of hate do not recognize the promise of the rainbow, and they wither. The tree lives in between forever and ever.
Wow. I'm going to make a couple of comments, and then if others would like to comment, Harold can unmute you, or if folks can unmute, or you can unmute yourself. We're just going to take a couple of comments. But Stephen, I just love your use of the in-between. So clearly you're referring to Buber here. So how beautiful to integrate Buber's understanding of holiness into the psalm itself, and to appreciate that the holiness here, you're using language that we can all relate to. I love that. And I love the imagery you're using here of the tree rooting and how powerful rootedness is, and the streams of water and the streams of light. What a beautiful juxtaposition, and the use of the images of the rainbow. And I just love how you describe who are the ones who bring holiness and who are the ones who decrease holiness. So looking through this, those who bring holiness are the contented ones who are at the well, which is, of course, the imagery of water. The ones who increase holiness are those who don't walk with those who decrease holiness. What is decreasing holiness? Arrogance, lying, hate. Just beautiful, really beautiful.
Thank you. You all inspired me.
Stephen, if you want to say anything else about this, we're welcome to. Maybe one or two people who would like to comment on it.
Thank you. You all inspired me. Do you hear me?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, great. The only other thing that I want to add about it is the picture of the full moon.
Yes,
I took a month
indeed.
before Pesach. I was riding along the road in Riverhead, and I was with a companion, and he wanted to get ice cream, and it annoyed me like crazy. I didn't want to stop and get ice cream, but I did. And then I looked up and I saw the full moon. I went to my cell phone to see when the moon was actually full in Riverhead, and it was at that moment. And I snapped that photo.
Wow.
So it just all came together in one place, and I'm very grateful.
Beautiful. And you know, the full moon Passover is on the 15th of the Jewish month, which means since the Jewish months are lunar, the 15th is the absolute full moon. So it's also a beautiful reference to Passover.
All right, I'm trying to let's see if I can share. Okay. Can you see am I unmuted?
Yes, you are. We can hear you.
The news sheet, poems, thoughts, and meditations on Psalm 1 and 2. Is that on your screen, Rabbi?
No, cannot see that.
All right, let me go in here and let me get a new screen share. Hold on. Okay.
So I think Harold's right. We probably won't be able to open up, but if people want to comment on the Psalm in the comments section, it's probably the best way to share comments. And we'll just have the writer speak because it's just a little too complicated.
Okay,
but please share thoughts in the comments section.
Okay, so let me try sharing a new screen. Let me see if I can get up this. All right, can you see it now? The poems.
Yes.
Okay, good. All right, so is Ellen Poster? Can you unmute yourself and read us your psalm first?
Okay. Pink begonias, yellow lilies, and purple pansies, the streets delight. With roots as pale and fine as baby hair, I planted deep in the window box and watered well. Will they survive these wild winds tonight? I fear a morning with death in sight. Upended as I am by COVID's hand, I seek to root myself in you. I have felt your abundant mercy in my life. Have I felt your anger too? Is it fast or slow? Do you laugh or weep? Have I broken your cords, or do you seek my redress? A therapist once told me weeping is anger suppressed. I accept the mystery. Your presence brings peace in the midst of distress.
Wow. That is magnificent, Ellen. Do you want to say anything about writing this as the author?
As the last writer said, it's been years since I've been able to write poetry, and this class has brought me back to it, for which I'm so grateful.
Poetry is pretty profound, isn't it? It is really so useful in moments where prose is just not enough. It's just not enough. So let's go back to the top of that, Harold, because I want to make a few comments about it. So first of all, I love that you're using Psalm 1 and 2 together, that your influence, clearly the images in this are, those of us who have now studied both Psalms, we can see beautiful references to both Psalms. And I really love the way that you absolutely connected to this moment in time. And I love this sentence: upended as I am by COVID's hand, I seek to root myself in you. That's just magnificent. I mean, it says so much. First of all, it so clearly roots you in this moment in time, and we all feel that, and that you seek to root. I seek to root myself. So you're using that tree imagery, that sense of what is solid, what will last the storm. And with the capitalizing you, you're using that piece that we learned, the you meaning the Holy One, the one who is in charge of it all, who has only our good in, and so it's so beautiful. And then the contrast, that I have felt your, capital Y, I love that, abundant mercy in my life. So and then have I felt your anger too, with a capital Y, beautiful, just magnificent. And I love your use of root. Again, you're using nature, plants, and the tree, and then with the contrast, the streets delight. What a beautiful urban image, right? That we who are in urban settings also, yesterday I took the dogs out for a walk, and just wonderful to see the spring flowers happening. And then I'm jumping around it. Will they survive these wild winds tonight? These plants that you've planted in a window box and watered well, but will they survive? That's the poignancy of this moment in time we are in. I fear a morning with death in sight. And then to end the psalm, I accept the mystery. This is the universe in which we find your presence, capital Y, capital P, brings peace in the midst of distress. Just magnificent, Ellen. Really beautiful.
Thanks, Rabbi.
So I have, if it's on this sheet, everybody got these in an email, and there will be another email which has more of them. Jeremy's not going to be with us today, so let's go to Lori Krotman. Lori, can you unmute yourself and share your work with us?
Okay. I come from a tradition of something called the Enneagram and spiritual teaching.
Wonderful. I'm familiar with that.
Oh, so this is the heart of, I've been studying this for 40 years. So here we go. Psalm 1, you will be okay if you hold fast to your own truth instead of listening to others. Be present to the unfolding of the moment. Trust that the universe will provide what you need to thrive now and forever. Stand firm in the boundless sense of presence. That space will hold you and never let you go. Those who let their egos direct them will suffer and feel abandoned, outcast, and left on their own. When we quiet our minds and still our bodies, the universe provides what we need. And then Psalm 2. Why are those around us so reactive and driven by an inflated sense of themselves? They stubbornly cling to their delusions and conspire with others, moving away from their essential nature and spiritual liberation. We can rise above the self-perceived realities and break free from our own limited point of view. The place within us that is sacred and boundless smiles, talks, and embraces us. That space is rooted deep inside and like a magnet remains firm and steadfast. We are born in this holy space, and it is part of our natural birthright. Turn your attention inward and surrender to what is, and your world will be filled with a boundless sense of peace and well-being. You can break free of suffering by noticing your conditioned responses and transform your sense of self by letting your delusions float away. But we have to work wisely and persistently to free ourselves of our habitual ways. Live in the divine moment. Experience the awe and wonder of the universe. Honor your essential nature, or you will be ruled by your egoic experience. You will be okay if you allow yourself to stay rooted in the essential truth of being.
Wow, just magnificent. So Lori, would you speak a little bit as the author? Tell us a little bit about writing it and what you're thinking, and then I'll comment as well. Really fantastic.
Thank you, Rabbi. Well, I guess my personal goal in life is to free myself from suffering. And the only way I can really do that is to free myself from myself. I always say that what stands between me and God is me. And if I can step aside, put myself aside, my own limited perspective, and see the whole universe, then I don't suffer, no matter what's happening around me. There is my death of my sister, whatever, that suffering is something totally separate from what's happening in the universe. So.
And tell us a little bit about which images that you use from Psalm 1 and 2 that from the original Psalms were so meaningful to you.
Well, I love the mountain. I love the images of being rooted, because I think I do believe if we meditate or whatever we do, if you get yourself inside yourself and you root yourself in your body and your whole being, that you'll be grounded to the earth and to yourself. So that was
beautiful.
A big image for me.
So let's thank you for that. It's wonderful to hear your thoughts. So let's go back to the beginning of Psalm 1, of Lori's, so I can. So this very much feels like you're embodying the wisdom. Remember I said these two Psalms are part of the wisdom literature of the Psalms. And wisdom literature, by the way, as I mentioned, much bigger than just Psalms, but some of the Psalms fit into wisdom literature, meaning advice, like what would it mean to live a life? And so this beautifully expresses that part of these Psalms. And it's so comforting. You will be okay. Isn't that, I find that so comforting, Laura. You will be okay if you hold fast to your own truth instead of listening to others. And remember, Psalm 1 began with all of the what you should avoid, because those who will drag you down will prevent you from being okay. Be present to the unfolding of the moment. That is really beautiful. And I like very much, Lori, that for you, the universe replaces an image that clearly you're not as comfortable with language of God or Holy One, but universe does it for you. And that's good for me too. I get it, that the universe, the sense of what's bigger than us, what is the universe, much bigger than our lives, will provide what you need, not what you want necessarily, but what you need. So that's just beautiful. And again, you get the firm and the boundless sense of presence, and I love that. And then in Psalm 2, I do love your use of the rootedness, and here you use mountain beautifully, exactly as the psalmist likes using natural images to express some eternal truths. You do that so beautifully. And I love this. We are born in this holy space. It is part of our natural birthright. Turn your attention inward and surrender. And that's very powerful, that your world will be filled with a sense of being and well-being. But we have to work wisely and persistently. What I love about that also, you're reflecting that the psalmist is telling us it doesn't happen easily. None of this just happens. It takes work. It takes attention. It takes to noticing and transforming. These are active words. It doesn't happen simply. All right, down to the end of this psalm, Harold. And I love this enter. To honor your essential nature, or you will be ruled by your egoic experience. Now, again, that's using language that's meaningful to us, but exactly, if this were read in 1,000 years, the readers would say, what is ego? What does that mean? We understand it in our universe, and that's a great example of what I'm saying, that we'll use language now that translates 2,000-year-old religious language, but in 2,000 years, they're going to be struggling with what ego means. You will be okay. So I love that you echo back in this final verse, the beginning of Psalm 1, which is exactly echoing the Ashrei that was in the original Hebrew of Psalm 1. And then you echo back Ashrei, happiness. You're translating happiness here as you will be okay. I love that. And I love that you repeat it in the beginning of Psalm 1 and the end of Psalm 2, echoing what the original Psalm. So that's just beautiful. Thank you so much, Lori. Okay, Hillary, are you with us?
I know
Yes,
Hillary's
I am.
here. Okay, great.
Hi, Hillary.
Hi.
All right, you have both Psalm 1 and 2 also.
And Harold, you're going to let me see that on the screen, right?
It's on the screen now.
Okay, great. Psalm 1 rendition. Joy finds the person who doesn't believe insidious words, or seek half-baked leaders, or hang out with thoughtless people. Instead, they listen for words of wisdom and compassion. They study and remember wise words even in their dreams. They're like buildings with strong foundations and excellent design, admitting those dedicated to true wholeness of body, speech, and mind, whose actions enrich every person they see. No matter what life throws at them, their inner light shines with the glory of wise and loving deeds. But not the ill-intentioned and confused. They are like a building that sinks into its foundation and crumbles upon entry. There is no threshold, therefore they miss their chance for true happiness and miss the synergy of fellow human beings who work toward goodness. For wisdom and love reward its followers with inner joy, but the ill-intentioned and confused fall into a miserable pit of their own making.
Wow. Okay, let's hear Psalm 2, and then we'll look at both of them together. Beautiful, Hillary. Okay, let's look at Psalm 2.
What's the point of posturing? You who hold court and seem to rule, do so at your peril, for you forget that each of us are anointed with power. I won't be held, you cry, I will rule. For heaven, this attempt to reign and escape is folly, for who can break out of reality's domain? Do you ever get the message, or will you slam your head against the wall of wrath that reality wreaks on those who try to supersede it? I anoint the holy in the earth and give what is due to creatures their share. You are made from my cloth, a thread, your weave is of my making, even while the color is yours. So when I love you, no king will have dominion over you. If you think you are the greatest or the least, be warned. Unburden yourself of distorted ego, lest reality smack you upside the head and you become completely deranged.
Beautiful.
Those who don't recognize ultimate reality as the ruler of all will be troubled, but everyone who respects the truth can find joy in living.
Wow. So Hillary, as author, would you speak a little bit about writing these and what was powerful for you from the Psalms? And
I think I just sort of followed your suggestion of trying to grapple with the meaning for us of the Psalm. And then I noticed how the other psalmists we were studying, how they took pieces of the original and they left other things out. And it's funny because the images of the trees, of the rootedness, I thought, let me just in Psalm 1, let me just try another image. And then I wrote it and I'm like, it's not as good, but I don't care, it's mine, whatever, I'll just keep it in,
Great.
Like, okay, let's just try something different and see what we can do. And the same thing in Psalm 2. I was trying to find a way of understanding the meaning, because that one is hard to understand. So I use the small I for the image of breaking, of trying to grasp at your own wants instead of really listening to the bigger picture, the ultimate reality.
Well, I think it's magnificent, Hillary. I'm very moved. I want to look back at Hillary's Psalm 1, Harold, for a moment. So I was very struck, and I think it's just brilliant to take the image of the tree and as urban people to find another image that says the same thing, but in a way that's so incredibly modern and perfect, because we understand that a building that sinks into its foundation and crumbles upon entry, there's no threshold. That is so evocative. It's just brilliant, I think. I also love in the first paragraph or first verse that you translate Ashrei, which is, as we talked about over and over again, very open. How do we translate Ashrei? What is simply, I love joy, of course, as everybody knows that I'm very connected to joy and feel like that's aspirationally what we want in life, to feel the joy. You look at a child who feels joy, and as adults we say, when was the last time we felt that? And here you say, joy finds the person who doesn't believe insidious words. And I love that first verse where you use also you go for what are the negatives? What are the things that break us, bring us down, bring us away from that truth and holiness? Insidious word, half-baked leaders, thoughtless people. Such a clear definition of what's evil in the world, right? Just beautiful, very clear. And then you do exactly as the Psalm does in a way. Instead, what is somebody doing who's seeking holiness, listening for words of wisdom and compassion, studying and remembering wise words? And they are like buildings that are with strong foundations and excellent design. It's such a great contrast. And then it goes into the contrast of using that building. Beautiful. All right, let's look at Psalm 2. And I just love this opening question. What's the point of posturing? And I really like how you use the quotes here, trying to find that quote and the you cry and the I, the small I there. Keeping going down to the end. I want to point out something at the end, and I see where, wow, time is going. So I love your ending also. Those who don't recognize ultimate reality as the ruler of all. So you do a beautiful contrast. Who are the Malchei Eretz, the rulers of the earth, versus what is the ruler of all, ultimate reality? And those who don't recognize that, but instead worship the kings of the earth will be troubled. But everyone who respects the truth can find joy in living. And once again, You're using the joy from the first word, from the first line of Psalm 1. You're ending Psalm 2 with that same word. Beautiful. Just magnificent. I love both the structure and the content. Really beautiful. Ginny, are you here?
Ginny Hennenberg, unmute yourself.
Okay.
Great.
Hi, Ginny.
Hi, thank you, Rabbi.
Thank you. Read us your Psalms.
All right. There is a path to a happy life, but you must avoid ill-intended temptation. Avoid others who entice you to be cruel, unlawful, or inconsiderate. If you do this and follow your better instincts, you will feel firmly planted, confident, and flourish. People who tempt your lesser instincts aren't grounded, so they will not linger. They will move on to tempt another. They will not be the ones known for good deeds on earth. But if you do the right thing, you will have a personal legacy. You will be lovingly remembered. Evildoers will not. They will be.
Beautiful. Okay, read Psalm 2 and then we'll discuss both of them.
I've told them the path to happiness. Why are the nations in such turmoil? And why do the people scurry about focused on their next material acquisition? The profiteers gather together and focus the people's attention away from me and the values I've instilled in them. They seduce the people with fancy ads and flashy products that outshine the tree and the birds and the sky I've created. But the Holy One laughs at their scurrying about and has contempt for their behavior. The Holy One will observe and laugh only so long, but before she shows her displeasure, because truly it is she who created the air they breathe and the sun to warm them and the flowers to please them. I will remind them that I created them and that they are my children and I am their mother. There is nothing I would not do for them. The land is theirs, the sun is theirs, the ocean is theirs. I have given them these things forever. I shall smash into dust the ones who tempt my people. They, the false leaders who blind my people, will feel my wrath as their admonishment. Their flashy objects should not blind my people to my tree. I am the powerful one. So fear my wrath, but rejoice in the world I've created for you. Be in awe of what surrounds you. Can I see the rest? Harold, I can't see the bottom. Thank you. Be humble and cease tempting the people, or you will again feel my wrath. But if you open your eyes and see my wonder, you too will be one of my beloved children and will share in the bounty I've created.
Wow. Ginny, just fantastic. Let's go back to the beginning of your Psalm 1. So I love how powerful it is and how scary or how high the stakes are. You get that. You're making it clear in this Psalm, the stakes are high, and those who follow a certain path, will be led into destruction. And for sure, we feel that. So I love this. There is a path to a happy life, but there's a risk. You have to avoid ill-intended temptation. Avoid others who entice you to cruel, unlawful, or inconsiderate. So I think that's a beautiful expression of the beginning of Psalm 1, of saying, yes, it's possible to live a good and happy life. You're using the word happy, which I love, but here are the things that you have to avoid. And if you do this and follow your better instincts, so in other words, you have it inside of you. It is there. Trust yourself. You will feel firmly planted, confident, and flourish. So I love these contrasts. What will happen if you don't? What will happen if you do? And you do that throughout both of these Psalms really beautifully. People who tempt your lesser instincts. And what I love about this, it's true, right? We all have the instincts. You know, in Judaism, we say Yetzer Hara, the bad instinct, and Yetzer HaTov, the good instinct. And which one gets fed? We have choices about that. We all have those lesser instincts. But do we feed them? Do we nourish those lesser instincts? And there are people who will always tempt them. So they will move, so they're not grounded, so they'll not linger. So in other words, what Ginny is saying, you can let them hang out. It's up to you how much they're there. But they're going to move on to tempt another if you put up resistance. If you do the right thing, you will have a personal legacy. You will be lovingly remembered. And we say in Judaism, you know, a good crown, a good name is the biggest crown of all. Evildoers will not, they will be forgotten. Beautiful, very powerful. In Psalm 2, again, I feel like you do an incredible job at contrasting, and you feel in this psalm, Ginny, a sense you know the terror of things not going well, but you also know there is a possibility of another way. I've told them the path to happiness. We did that in Psalm 1. Why are the nations in such turmoil? Why do the people scurry about focused on their next material acquisition? That is so strong. The profiteers gather together. Wow, for sure in our generation, we know what that means. And honestly, in every generation, I think a lot these days of Mother Courage, Bertolt Brecht's, the profiteers from war are constantly benefiting from conflict and war, and they have an investment in it because they make money off of it. They seduce the people with fancy ads and flashy products. This is incredible. I love this, Ginny, that outshine the tree and the birds and sky I've created. If you want to see lasting beauty and real power in the universe, the shiny neon signs you have to turn away from them. You have to really work hard to see the tree, the birds, and the sky. That's just magnificent. And the Holy One, that holiness will observe and laugh at their scurrying. And I love your use of she here, because she is the one who's created the air they breathe, the sun to warm them. Just magnificent. And the sense that the mother of us all, that is on our side. The false leaders who blind my people will feel my wrath. And that's, of course, ultimately true. Their flashy objects should not blind my people to my tree. Wow. But you know what? It takes our efforts to see the tree and to not be blinded to. Wow, so fantastic. Be humble and cease tempting the people, or you will again feel my wrath. But if you open your eyes and see my wonder, you too will be one of my beloved children and share in the bounty I've created. So there's comfort there. Even while it's really just beautiful. I love your contrasting imagery, and I really love this one. Thank you, Ginny, so much.
Darina.
Did Ginny speak at all about being the author? Did I ask? Now I can't remember. Did I give you a chance, Ginny, to speak about writing it?
No, I think the main thing is that in Psalm 2, I was struggling with the voice change. And then I heard it as a conversation between God and an angel. And God talking to the angel, describing what's going on. And the angel's like a narrator telling us what God's seeing and reacting to. And then God speaks to us directly. So
beautiful.
That's how I resolve.
Got it. Beautiful. That's exactly what this is about, is how you see a problem, so to speak, in the text, and you find a resolution or resolutions that make it meaningful to you. Beautiful.
Thank you.
Who's our next one? I think this might be the last. Are there more, Harold?
There's this and then Sherry for today. If we
okay, let's see if we can get through them today, and then good.
Darina, can you read this, or would you like me to read it for you?
Darina joins us from Bulgaria, where it is what o'clock in the morning?
4 o'clock, I think.
4 o'clock in the morning. Darina, are you with us right now?
Maybe she's not, and we will go.
Darina is here at 4 o'clock in the morning from Bulgaria.
No, it's afternoon now.
Oh, it's afternoon. It's later there. I can't keep it.
It's going on 6 p.m. And when you have Friday night services, that's
right. It's Friday night service is the middle of the night because you're later than we are. Okay, Darina, would you like reading yours? And Darina is writing not in her native language, so we're very grateful that she's putting this in English so beautifully.
Well, if you can live with my accent.
We are happy to.
I just open the file on my computer and read it from there. Let me see if I can see you in some corner, at least no. Well,
can you see it on your screen, Darina? We do have it up on the screen.
Let me go full screen. Yes, I can see it well enough now.
Okay.
See where you are. and I shall be like a tree. With each tree coming into bloom, I feel a little more alive. With each tree coming into bloom, I'm less afraid of death, for I have seen a wish come true. It was a nasty winter, cold, dark, and depressing. I waited and I waited to see the trees in bloom, to see new leaves emerge and cover their bare branches, to see the migratory birds return. I was that child who tried to talk to trees, to somehow make them understand my words. I tried so hard to learn to understand them, but never learned the language that they spoke. I'm like a tree. I'm so much like a tree, so deeply rooted in my native ground, that I was never brave enough to leave the place that my beloved trees call home, in search of better fortune. I'm like a tree awaking back to life, in spite of all my worries, all my fears. I'm like a tree reviving every spring, content with where I planted.
Amazing, Darina. Would you tell us a little bit about writing this?
It started in one of those moments when a lot of different things came together in my head, inspired by that tree image in someone. And I remembered my own love of trees. And it's the bargaining stage of my grief, I guess, that takes the shape of last wishes.
Yeah.
So each new tree coming into bloom, each new bird coming back from Africa is a wish come true.
Uh-huh.
And it's somehow easier to prepare for my possible death when all of those things that make my life better has come back again.
Yeah. Just magnificent and so powerful. Even the title of the psalm, "And I shall be like a tree." And I really love, and this is a great example of taking one image from the psalm and just exploding from that one image and going somewhere that's infused with so much wisdom and so much energy from the psalms, but it's taking one image and just creating a whole psalm from that. I was that child who tried to talk to trees to somehow make them understand my words. I tried so hard to learn to understand them, but I never learned the language they spoke. I'm like a tree. I'm so much like a tree, so deeply rooted in my native ground that I was never brave enough to leave the place that my beloved trees call home in search of a better fortune. And again, that evokes such an image, not just of moving literally, but of death, of course. And it's very powerful. I'm like a tree awaking back to life in spite of all my worries, all my fear. I'm like a tree reviving every spring, content with where I'm planted. Just breathtaking, really, Darina. And that this is not your first language, just breathtaking is a beautiful poem. Thank you so much. So can we do Sherry's poem? Can everybody hang out? Let's do Sherry with us.
We will get Sherry's poem up. Okay. Sherry, are you with us? Sherry Dratfield.
Yes.
Okay, you're up.
Okay. For this class, it's called a psalm, a prayer. But if it weren't for this class, it would be called Cell Prayer, C-E-L-L prayer. He lost grace, seeks grace, parted from children, trees. Guards oppress, aid, instruct. Guard against harm, sift words, find hope. Awaken, find comfort in your pre-dawn words. Wake up to the wisdom in those words. Later, Watch in awe as the sun finds its way in. Absorb the rays that perch on your hand. Step to your small window, lift your eyes. The daffodils are past, but a bird flutters in your sky. One magnolia blooms fully, others not yet. Can you see roots soaked from last night's rain? Step away from the window, wash your hands, cleanse your beard, face, prepare to sit still. Touch the book, open it, feel its pages one by one. Learn until your fingers absorb its ink. Don't gaze on cinder block walls, don't fall asleep. There are birds cradled in branches just out of view. They await your return. Await amazing grace, only you can bring. Find grace, unlock your door.
Sherry, do you want to speak a little bit about this incredible piece?
I spoke with my son via video chat last week as I was reading Alter's piece in the introduction about the prosody of Psalms. I am a poet, and I guess I knew what I wanted to say that was inspired by Psalm 1, but was what I needed to say.
This is just magnificent, Sherry. And this is a great example of being inspired, but not staying with it. But you could see the beautiful, it's very emotional. Very emotional. And the awaken, find comfort in your pre-dawn words. I get it. I understand what you're saying here. Wake up to the wisdom in those words. Later, watch in awe as the sun finds its way in. It's really, really magnificent. One magnolia blooms fully, others not yet. Can you see roots soaked from last night's rain? Touch the book, open it, feel its pages one by one. And then don't gaze on cinder block walls, don't fall asleep. There are birds cradled in branches just out of view. What does it mean when you're so isolated, you're so broken off from the world, you can't even see these things, these images that are just out of view? They await your return, await amazing grace that only you can bring. Find grace. Open, or you use the words unlock your door. Just magnificent. So friends, we are out of time for today. Julia, please keep writing comments, and everybody should be reading in the chat because the people are writing beautiful things about each other's writings. And what a gift each of you have given us. And I'm so grateful. Is Naomi Hirsch online today? I can't look at the list to know if Naomi is with us today. Harold, can you tell if Naomi is here?
I'm trying to juggle.
Okay, sorry.
No, it's fine.
And again, I want to thank Harold for organizing the Psalms so that we could read them. And please, if you keep writing them, you can keep going back to Psalm 1 and 2. Keep writing them, post them on Facebook, send them to...
People have my email address. If you email them to me, I will put them in the compendium, and the compendium will be updated. I already have a day's more worth that I've gotten in since I put this one together, and we will have something, and I'm sure we will find some way of publishing it and distributing it to the larger community too.
At some point. But also, if you want to just get feedback while you're writing them, Facebook is a good way to do it. You know, if you want to just show them to us as well, that's wonderful. And is Naomi with us or no?
I think not.
Okay. So Julia, would you lead us out of today's session? And we'll be back together tomorrow. And remember, no class on Wednesday and Thursday this week.
Right, everyone mute themselves except for Julia.
Sure, and thank you, everyone. I'm really just trying to take in everything that was just shared. So incredibly beautiful. And I just put a link in the chat to a version of this song on YouTube if folks want to hear it afterwards. I'm moved to share it in a little bit of a different way right now. I feel changed by the poem, so I'm going to sing it a little bit more slowly and yeah. Okay. Un cabrito y un cabrito ahí va que compró mi papá por 2 chavicos y vino el fuego que quemó la vara que pegó al perro que mordió al cabrito que compró mi papá por 2 chavicos. Ahí va que compró mi papá por 2 chavicos. Y vino el agua que apagó el fuego, que quemó la vara, que pegó al perro, que mordió al cabrito, que compró mi papá por 2 chavicos. Ahí va que compró mi papá por 2 chavicos.
Julia, just magnificent. Thank you, everybody. So beautiful. Have a wonderful Monday, folks. And remember, members, we have a town hall tonight at 7 o'clock, but you must register in advance to get the sign-in information. And tomorrow, 10 a.m., we'll be studying together again. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day, everybody.